Cool. We'll probably crack on if you're all right with that, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
So thank you everyone for attending today, and welcome to our latest workshop, the importance of automating manual tasks in early travel business stages. Today we're joined by Alex Dixon from World Travel Holdings. Hi Alex, thanks for attending today.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Cool. For those who are watching this back on record or on demand, feel free to send us any questions that you may have. I'm sure that we can liaise with Alex to any answers of those questions beyond it. But yeah, we're delighted to be joined by you, Alex. So just for those who are watching, it'd be great to just get a bit of an introduction from yourself, and a little bit of overview of where you're from as well.
Yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, Alex Dixon, I'm Business Solutions Director at World Travel Holdings. A little bit about the business, first of all. We're a distributor of cruise holidays, established in 2008. So yeah, just over 15 years old now. The business has 3 consumer-facing brands: Cruise 118, Six Star Cruises, and River Voyages. In terms of suppliers, we cover the full spectrum of cruise, from mass market through to expedition and luxury. In terms of how we make bookings, there's a proportion of bookings done online, but the majority done offline through our contact centre. And in terms of booking volumes, we're arranging tens of thousands of cruise holidays a year.
Excellent.
In terms of me, I'm responsible for technology, business process and strategic projects, and I've been with the business almost since the start. So I joined in 2009.
Wow, part of the furniture then.
That's it, yeah.
Excellent. Well, Alex, obviously, for those that don't know, there's a reason why we've asked you to join. You're probably our longest standing client. I know the relationship started between you and John way back when. How's it been working with Traverse today?
Yeah, excellent. We've had a good relationship from day one. You guys have always been flexible and yeah, keen to tackle any issues as much as we are. So yeah, enjoyed a very good relationship over what's yeah, more than 10 years now.
Excellent. So Alex, obviously the main reason we have brought you on is just from your knowledge and your experience of certainly running automation projects within a travel business, kind of sharing I guess your tips and pointers, not giving away secrets, don't worry, but it would be good to obviously get your input on the slides today, and certainly to help those that are reviewing automation and are thinking maybe they're too early. That's really the main benefits of today, and the impact of implementing automation as soon as possible. So yeah, if we can move on to the first slide, I want to touch upon ultimately the main problem when a travel business starts to grow. Normally what happens, and I'm sure you've seen this in some of the brands within your business, Alex, but when a company starts to get more sales, the volume of increase in hiring admin staff, financial staff, support staff, and then you're increasing more sales team, and which ultimately is only going to impact hiring more administrative staff. I guess this kind of cycle that we've got on the screen, is this something that you can relate to when within terms of these problems when World Travel Holdings was starting to really grow in the early stages?
Yeah, absolutely. As a startup business, you have a plan. You think you know what to do. Cost control is obviously particularly important in the early stages. Staff resource levels are tight. People wear many different hats, carrying out various different tasks, helping out as needed, working together to get established. But I would say things take you by surprise. Even those things you plan for can happen quicker or slower than you perhaps think. So the phones start ringing off the wall. You switch resource from other departments to making sales whilst you recruit more sales staff. You find you've got a backlog of customer invoices, supply communications, customer tickets. And so you decide to recruit more admin staff into customer service. Sales are going well. You've already got a backlog. Recruitment takes longer than planned. Someone in customer service leaves the business. They've decided to go traveling. Someone else announces they're pregnant. You lose some of the incremental staff as well as the experienced staff.
Yeah.
But all the while, sales continue to grow and more sales staff are recruited. So everyone's happy, but there's a shark swimming beneath you, and it's getting closer and bigger. So yeah, absolutely, I can relate to those challenges.
And at what point did a light bulb go off in your head, or was it always a part of your plan when you joined the business?
I would say that the light bulb went off when I was introduced to you guys. I suppose that we were busy wading, battling through volumes, all doing what we could do to, to establish and grow the business. But yeah, it was an introduction to you guys that effectively turned the light on, I suppose.
That's good to hear. I guess for those who are, perhaps in this early stages, there must have been some blockers that was going through your head at the time. But what do you think is a blocker for people that decide to not automate and continue with this kind of vicious cycle?
I think that people see it as a short-term problem. Throw some resource at it, throw some overtime at it, and it will go away. I think also people possibly see automation as being too hard.
Yeah.
And possibly it's ironic. I haven't got time for it. But for me, it's about or well, let's put it this way: people are possibly working hard, not smart. Possibly coming at it from the angle of let's get our heads down and we'll be on top of it before long. So yeah, I know certainly there were some people, some people here that in the early stages were a little bit reluctant, resistant to it. But yeah, I think that if you do look to the future, it's particularly important to recognise the challenges early and yeah, look to work smart, not hard.
Sure. I know you're very analytical from the discussions that we've had. I guess for those that financially it's a blocker for them, or for them to get over the fact that in the early stages they might be paying for automation slightly over the cost of human resources. But I guess what kind of went through your brain in that potential scenario where you go, oh, can we justify the costs? Obviously, I know it's a bit different now later down the line, but them early stages, a lot of people in certainly the first couple of years will be thinking, well, hang on a minute, this is the same as human resource within terms of financial input. What kind of would you say to those companies who are maybe sitting in that position?
I think it's thinking about the long term. I mean, I suppose that cash flow is always a consideration, but I think that there's a hidden cost that comes with incremental people as well. So there's kind of time to competency, there's recruitment fees and things like that. There's retention to consider. So if you got some turnover of staff, then I suppose you're spending more and more on people all the time. So I guess that you probably have more of a closer prediction as to what your costs are going to be with automation. And of course, the bigger benefit comes as the business scales. So
Sure.
The costs don't quite grow as directly proportionate to what your people cost would do. So yeah, I think that's something to bear in mind from the outset.
Because travel is quite a reactive industry, isn't it? In reality, it's like, okay, we need staff, let's go hire. Whereas they might entertain a discussion and go, we're not quite ready. It sounds like they're never going to be ready almost.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know when the next peak is around the corner as well. And yeah, I suppose that There's a lead time to recruit. There's a lead time for people to become competent. Whereas I suppose the benefit of automation is once it's been configured, then it's good to go from day one.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. So the solution we normally suggest to people, especially the smaller companies, that you need to invest in automation as early as possible. But you were, I guess, based on the fact that we've been working with you guys for over 10 years now, you were kind of in a place where automation probably wasn't as well accepted as today, certainly not with what's going on TikTok and trends and so forth. Did you feel that it was a risk, like when you took that first step with automation in World Travel Holdings?
No, I would say, I mean, there were various reasons really that kind of underpinned the decision. The cost would be cheaper for us. Automation is more accurate than a person. I suppose other things that we considered really were it would have a positive impact on the service that we could provide. So things would be processed quicker. There'd be less build-up of work stream volumes that inevitably can spill over into an impact other areas. So, I mean, I guess an example of that would be if you've got a backlog in customer service and customers are chasing things, they're calling up. Ultimately, people get wise to telephone options and start pressing the options for sales. They're chewing up your sales staff and so on. So we were kind of mindful of those considerations too. But I think another thing really is the whole impact on staff morale and retention. Customer service teams work incredibly hard, but they need support. And I think one thing that we were conscious of is that automation is there to help rather than take their jobs away. So yeah, I think for risk, I mean, obviously it was something that we considered. Not everyone, 10 plus years ago was sold into the idea, but when you kind of work through what the considerations are, then I would say it's a relatively small risk.
Alex, take you back way back when we started our first project together. I take it you had to get buy-in from other people in the business, right? So for those that are in your position, like what it would have been back then, but now, and they're taking it to their seniors because they know that they need it to make a difference in the business, but they have to justify it to someone who isn't perhaps as understanding of the I guess the results and the impacts and actually believing in it. What tips would you give those people in how to influence their seniors and their board to actually go, okay, yeah, let's give this a go? Because we get that a lot from certainly solutions level, IT director, CTO level, where they're taking it to their board and the reaction probably isn't as trusted as it needs to be. How do you build that trust and buy-in?
I guess there's a financial ROI to do, but I mean, I suppose I've just talked through some of the non-financial considerations, probably some things that are not tangible, but yeah, they stand up absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at the time it takes for someone to process the task, factor that out by the volume that it's taking, for the human cost, for other costs that go with it, I think it's relatively easy to pull together a strong financial case for it. But like I say, it's the non-financial kind of hidden benefits that make the case pretty compelling. So sure. Yeah, I would say don't just focus on the numbers, focus on the non-financial too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great advice. Okay, if we can move to the next slide, that'd be great. Just wanted to run through one of the solutions that you're familiar with, Alex. So our automated document matching, or also known as invoice matching solution. So when a supplier, and just to explain to those that haven't seen this before, Won't work as well for many OTAs because they use a lot of GDS systems, but ultimately anyone that books directly with supplier and receives invoices from suppliers, when those invoices come into the inbox, our RPA solution extract those invoices, download and ultimately compare against what's within an existing booking system or back office solution. Once we receive, well, based on a set of rules, once it matches against the internal system, it's then sent to or uploaded to wherever it needs to go or approved. If it's not matched, we then have an exceptions report in a kind of dashboard view, where the administrative agent will be able to see the reason for that not matching, ultimately be able to pass on certain rules that are set, but also be able to rerun invoices from there or go back to the suppliers. So Alex, pretty similar solution to what you've got in place at the moment.
Yeah, that's one of the solutions that we have in place. So like I mentioned earlier, we work with multiple suppliers. Every time you do a booking, an invoice is generated. Every time you access a booking with certain suppliers, another invoice is generated. Every time you make a modification to it, it's another document. So you can imagine over the course of time the volume of invoices that you get relative to bookings, and yeah, it's a pretty sizable number.
Yeah, for sure. And just to also to add to that, compared to off-the-shelf solutions, I guess travel's a different beast, isn't it? Suppliers change the format, the email it's sent from, the way that they distribute the invoices to a company like yours, and generic off-the-shelf products. And certainly what we've heard from companies who've gone from that to this, it's supported, isn't it? So ultimately, if there are changes from suppliers, the team respond and will then rectify those changes and ultimately rerun those invoices that inevitably would be raised an exception if it doesn't read. So that's just to benefit those who are potentially looking at generic off-the-shelf solutions. It will struggle and it will need to be trained quite a lot, if it is an off-the-shelf solution, in enabling them to handle these travel suppliers, because like I say, if you're working with a lot of suppliers, it can be quite frustrating when your mismatch rates are going through the roof. So I just want to kind of touch on the benefits of automated document matching. So obviously when it's high volumes, it's I guess automation is like a virtual assistant that doesn't sleep and doesn't take holidays, right? So it can handle high volumes and ultimately process more than a human possibly could during a day. A lot of time is saved, kind of at least a minimum of 50% we're seeing now across our clients. Obviously a lot of money back into the business annually. And I guess this is probably a good point. Happy people. What was the impact to your people, Alex, when you started to introduce a solution like automated document matching?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Joe, I think that the starting position for most people is there's something coming here which is going to take my job. And so, you've got to be careful with your positioning as to why, this solution is being brought in for you. But I think that if you ask any of our customer service team what they think of it, they absolutely see it as their friend.
Okay, cool.
It's taken a lot of the pain away, a lot of the volume. You mentioned earlier about the solution means that if there is something that doesn't match on the invoice relative to the booking data, it takes you to that exact thing, meaning that you've not got to spend your time looking over the whole document, checking every single detail, more time saved. So yeah, they absolutely love it, and yeah, it's part and parcel of our business now.
Would you say that's probably the biggest benefit, or would you say there's one of these other areas, or maybe an area that doesn't sit on the screen right now, that is, is the main benefit to you?
Bit of everything, Joe. I mean, a couple of call outs. So high volumes, probably primarily looking at it from the business perspective. You can plan for volumes to an extent, but I suppose you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
Peaks can sometimes be unexpected. I think you've already mentioned this, but automation can handle any volume. The solution doesn't become overwhelmed. People obviously can. Another couple of benefits that probably haven't been mentioned is speed and preventing issues. So from a speed perspective, certainly in our experience, all automated documents are reconciled and sent within 24 hours of being received.
Wow.
So I know from personal experience of dealing with some travel organisations that I've waited weeks, even months, in some cases to receive a document, whereas this is going out within 24 hours of the booking being done. I think from the perspective of preventing issues, one thing to call out is it highlights issues before it becomes too late to solve them. So I guess if you, from a manual point of view, get yourself into a backlog situation and, dare I say it, possibly don't end up sending out a document or send it out a bit later than you should have done. If a issue is identified down the line, it may be too late to be able to do anything about it, or it could result in a complaint from the customer. So I guess you kind of bringing forward and taking proactive steps to minimize any issues that you could have faced further down the line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so without mentioning money and numbers, can you give us an insight on how many more, documents, or a percentage increase on how many more documents you're able to process, or maybe even a speed difference in percentage, or just to give the team kind of some kind of indication, or the people who are watching this back, as to what they should expect, really?
Yeah, always a little bit cautious, Joe, talking numbers, as you know.
Understood.
So I can't give you specific percentages, but I'm happy to confirm it's the vast majority of documents that we receive are automated successfully.
Okay, that's really good to hear. Okay, cool. So we normally say here, if it's processed by a human, it can be processed by an automatic solution. And we also mention quite a lot on our calls that it's like having a virtual assistant that can do repetitive tasks on a computer, just like a human would, but without the need for breaks or sleep. So I guess, again, you don't have to dive into it too much based on competitors that might be watching us back, etc. But do you see like other parts of the business that potentially might require automation, that perhaps is not common throughout other travel businesses, that you've either automated or looked at automating, just to kind of spark ideas for those that might be looking at different types of automation to document matching?
Yeah, I suppose we're pretty embedded with automation, and it plays a part in most functions of our business. I think from our perspective, technology continues to advance rapidly, so we'll be keeping a close eye on further opportunities. But I would say where it's possibly most prevalent is customer service, administration, and finance departments.
Sure. Yeah, no, we're definitely seeing that more. I noticed the other day that a lot of the larger enterprise businesses out there are looking very much into auto allocation of customer service inbound queries from customers. So a lot of people use like a Fresh Desk or similar kind of distribution task software, where they would have a team leader who would receive a Teams message from a customer service representative, and then telling them that they've ran out of tasks, and then a team leader would then allocate based on their experience from the queue of the customer service queries they've got from an online portal. And it's amazing that they're actually paying, this company in particular was paying for 4 full-time team leaders. Now, if all 4 of them were in a company meeting, that means that people sat there twiddling their thumbs waiting for tasks, and they were saying, well, you can't really allocate the tasks, but providing you can understand the rules and it doesn't take a human mind to think of those rules, then you can even create auto allocation, which seems to be a big talking point at the moment for customer service teams. So for anyone who's looking into that, happy to discuss. But have you come across that at all, Alex, in customer service allocations or similar kind of areas?
Yeah, I think I think back to, let's call them the bad old days of things coming into shared mailboxes, and someone having to go in and pick and assign and do something with the processed email and so on. And I suppose, I mean, you mentioned about 4 people handling that particular work stream. It's almost like those people are acting as quarterbacks. And I suppose that when they go into the meeting, the quarterbacks just left the pitch.
Yeah.
And, you know, nothing's going to be distributed. So, yeah, I absolutely see opportunities for auto allocation and, yeah, many other use cases as well. Like you say, anything that's a logical, sequential process, is pretty easy to document it and, yeah, have a look at where the opportunities are.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so big question. If you were to start from scratch, in like the whole hindsight is a beautiful thing, what would you have done differently?
I suppose, yeah, ensure your business processes are fit for purpose before creaking at the seams. You know, I suppose it's a advantageous position to be in where sales are coming in at or above expectations, but yeah, you can cause yourself some problems if you haven't necessarily thought of your business foundations and whether they're well structured and ready to scale along with sales.
No, that's a good response. So for those, I guess, growing travel businesses, though, what kind of advice would you offer them regarding automation? Certainly from your years of experience.
And embrace it, quite simply. As I mentioned before, our customer service staff see it as their friend. Automation is your friend. Invest the time to benefit now and in the future.
No, that's excellent. So I don't know if anyone on the call have got any questions at all for us. I know I appreciate I've probably asked you quite a few there, Alex, and a little bit more than usual.
No problem at all.
Right. Well, like I said, to those who are watching this back on demand, you know, and request, then, you know, do feel free to send through some questions. If there's any specific questions for Alex, I'll certainly fire them across if he's not too busy to answer them. But yeah, guys, like anyone that's looking into kind of any kind of growth automation, early stages, whether you're an OTA, tour operator, TMC, you know, we're happy to have a discussion with you. Stay tuned for other automation workshops. I think the next one we've got coming up, which are probably relevant to the people that are attending this, is with Ed Pike from Simpson Travel, I believe, and also for any holiday park or hoteliers, we've got an automated check-in solution where we're discussing that with Steve from Lazenby Group. So yeah, Alex, really appreciate your time today. Thank you, thank you very much, and yeah, look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.